I'm keeping my ear to the ground so I can listen and observe the soft claps from Lupa's grade A Wagyu beefcakes. Wolf girls are the best.
Don't you want a werewolf girlfriend?
Yes!
Putting the
Farm store desserts
back in the hotel room, it is rather sad seeing 2.7 launch with nothing else but the story, and it's caused many to ask, what happened to the combat stuff? The question of concern got me thinking, what combat-related mode do we need? What would really shine in Wuthering Waves in more ways than one? Is it Tactical Simulacra, or Depths of the Elusive Realm? What about hologram challenges? No, actually it's none of that. In fact, we don't have it, and I think this mode would be amazing. I'm talking about a Musou style mode. Don't know what that is? It's this. Dynasty Warriors, Hyrule Warriors, Persona 5 Scramble, hack and slash brought up to 11 as you carve your way through hordes of enemies. It's the essence of the commonly asked question, how many men can you take on at once? Some only just need one. It's absurd fun, and honestly I think Wuthering Waves could actually accommodate some form of this genre. I think the biggest obstacle would be how mobile would handle so many TDs on field, but don't worry about that right now. At face value as an idea, this would be so much fun and it would work perfectly in a place like Septimont. For me though, I'd want to see it used as not just a game mode, but also a conduit for deeper world building. Jinzhou would be a perfect starting place considering that the Dynasty Warrior franchise has roots in Chinese history being based off of the Romance of the Three Kingdoms set in the Han Dynasty. It's a perfect melding opportunity, and honestly it would be a cool-ass collaboration if done. I don't know how likely or popular it would be considering the popularity of these games being not super wide, particularly in the West, but collab or not, the Musou genre is fun and it would be significantly different from other modes we have. Typically in the game your goal is killing a main head commander and you get there via map control and raising morale of your army by partying a sea of bodies to get to objectives and killing higher tiered enemies, commanders, and bases. If you die or if certain objectives are lost like a specific commander and your army dying, you lose. This is obviously different from Wuthering Waves combat objective where typically in an open world sense there isn't much of one. In endgame things though, you're getting gear checked for newer players approaching it, skill checked once you get there, or time checked if you're skilled enough but are unable to dish out enough damage like what can happen in holograms. But all of these are more or less damage checks in essence. A Musou style would give a more dynamic feel because you're actually needing to go from objective to objective and eventually face off against a challenging opponent that isn't necessarily tied to how much damage you do. Musou games and by extension action games have evolved in such a way that we don't need to forego certain systems for what we are used to now, like parries, perfect dodges, combo styles, and a generally more fluid and refined action gameplay loop. We also live in a world where options and modifiers can exist, so difficulty settings can adjust how aggressive you want enemies to be, or even things like additional items spawning on the map, since that is also another feature seen in Musou games. But in Wuthering Waves' case, these now core action systems would be heightened more for when you eventually face off against special targets, as that's when you'll be needing to actually put your skills to the test. I think this would be the balancing weight that add in that skill aspect which people expect and want to experience when doing combat events, and you can leverage hologram style kind of 1v1s within the Musou arena. I've heard from many that the difficulty spike in the newest Dynasty Warriors game has made many veterans happy after relative stagnation in the goal of these games. The important and final fights would add to the grand epicness of the mode and would probably make for some really memorable moments that players literally wouldn't be able to get anywhere else in Wuthering Waves. Musou games are functionally different in how you play them compared to maybe the more well-known action games like DMC. They're not characterized as a 1 vs 1000 action hack and slash game for nothing. I bring this up because of two reasons: different action game framework and a realistic change of that framework translating into in-game results. I think that this would be another way for them to test out new systems of combat to be used later for actual characters later down the line. things like the different attacking types, special, trigger, Musou, and reaction attacks could be looked into as a unique mechanic for more varied combat. Like for example, using those special attacks corresponding to enemy attacks for creating DPS openings or greatly reducing vibration damage, and if missed, you face the consequences. Actual utilization of combo strings between normal and heavy attacks, much like many other action games, could be utilized as well, and even unique mechanics like the wheel mechanic where you can spawn more wheels if you time attacks as they come back to you. Obviously, if this were to be a mode, they need to adjust aspects of the combat in general for the mode, like how wide sword swings are or how big AoE abilities would be. By default, they need to try a new system anyways, which they're no strangers to. I mean, 2.7 is literally giving us a top-down shooting kind of combat event. 2.6 gave us tower defense, and in PGR they've tried many different ones as well, from a first-person mode as Commandant to a Monster Hunter style co-op combat mode. The best way I can imagine for starting this out would be to have a smaller list of characters as a starting cast. So for example, you would have access to Rover, Calcaro, Galbrena, and Encore for each weapon type. This way resources aren't squandered by doing too many units at once if it's extremely labor or cost intensive. You'll also be able to see how each weapon type will handle the mode and where adjustments could be made and how they may translate to other characters of similar archetypes later on. A lot of insight could be gained if they were to tackle an extremely new approach to a combat event. This is something I can see them doing, and I think this mode would be not just fun but also within the realm of possibility, considering it's again another flavor of action combat. It expands their view of action games beyond DMC or Platinum style action combat, and it also remains grounded enough where aspects of Dynasty Warrior combat mechanics could be woven into characters. I feel like this idea is gold because of what it would bring and how well it meshes, how fun it would be, and more importantly, how specific this is as a suggestion. Most people that I've seen leading up to 2.7 as a complaint to Kuro was that we need more combat events, but it lacks any substance and it's directionless for Kuro. For some things that's okay, like more diverse enemy designs or something, but in an instance where something like combat is brought up which everyone interacts with as a core thing of the game, anyone can get at least a little more specific about it. I think it's helpful for everyone if you can be so. Musou games are probably the lesser talked about action games, and I think that's still true despite the more recent sort of boom thanks to Zelda Warrior games catapulting their popularity. I think for me, this is going to be a new piece of specific feedback I'll be giving Kuro regarding combat events. I think not only would this work, but it'd be brand new with many avenues for adjusting, refining, and shaping into their own thing. Of course, let me know what you think and if I may have persuaded you in adding this into your surveys. When I was thinking about this, it genuinely was something that I never knew I would want in Wuthering Waves. As usual, thank you for letting me take your time, like and sub, and be safe out there.